Well, Hurricane Irma is currently between Cuba and the Bahamas. It's projected to hit Florida in the next 2 days. The storm carries winds of up to 150 miles an hour. It has already ripped through several Caribbean islands. CBS News weather producer David Parkinson joins us now with the latest. Okay, David, where is the storm going? What's the latest on the path?
So the National Hurricane Center has now put out that they're expecting a landfall in the Florida Keys, and then it's going to move up the central part of the state, and then kind of move on off into Georgia and parts of Tennessee. You can see how much of a behemoth this storm is. That colorful area where you've got the tropical storm force winds, that's 500 miles across, over 500 miles across.
Wow.
The clouds on both sides, that reaches over 1,000 miles across.
That's incredible.
This storm is enormous, and it has only gotten larger overnight. So even as the winds have come down, the wind field has expanded. So it is no less dangerous than it was yesterday.
Good evening, I'm Erin Burnett. Out front tonight, breaking news, Hurricane Irma, a Category 5 monster on a collision course with Florida. The White House just issuing emergency declarations for this massive. It looks that way to you, and it is. It is the second most powerful storm ever recorded in the Atlantic Ocean. The satellite image is just as ominous. The National Hurricane Center calls it, quote, a potentially catastrophic storm. Wind stronger, clocking in at 190. And this storm is not yet near land. It could go faster. Florida Governor Rick Scott.
Here is the track, and this is what is very difficult for us right now. All guidance shows that it is going to make a hard right turn. This is happening sometime in the early morning hours Saturday. If it happens earlier, it is going to cut just along the eastern shore of Florida. If it turns a little bit later, it's going to slam right into Florida. So Florida certainly needs to be doing everything watching this right now. That said, if it skips just to the east of this, it's going to stay over water and probably go in towards Georgia or South Carolina. So there's been a lot of talk about Florida right now, guys. If you're in Georgia, South Carolina, you need to be keeping an eye on this as well, because it is very possible that the storm just stays offshore and goes in towards that area. We cannot tell at this point. We won't know probably for about another day and a half exactly when we expect to see that turn happen.
Well, one of the biggest questions, where exactly will the eye of the storm make landfall? As of now, forecasters say the storm will slam the Keys, then move up Florida's west coast.
Look at how well-defined that eye is right now. That right there is a strengthening storm, and the National Hurricane Center is saying we're going to go up to
evacuation zone. Please evacuate.
This really captures the urgency, Wolf, of the situation, where police squad cars are now going door to door telling people to evacuate. This is now a mandatory evacuation zone. We're in West Palm Beach on South Flagler Drive, and they're going door to door. A lot of people here telling us they're going to ride it out. This is the final plea for them not to do that.
Attention. You are in a mandatory evacuation zone. Please evacuate.
And a lot of these houses here, Wolf, have pretty solid structures, and people think they can ride it out, but these guys are telling them, don't take that chance. Going door to door here, they want people off the roads by tomorrow, so they're trying to get them on the roads now, and just doing it in the loudspeaker. I'll let you listen to them again as they go door to door, and sometimes they'll actually stop and talk to people who are happening to be out, and who might stop and ask them questions.
Robin, good morning to you. We are evacuating live here on GMA because we are joining more than tens of thousands of people who are evacuating right now or who have evacuated already. As we are looking at these major highways, only two of them take you from south to north. We're talking about I-95 and the Florida Turnpike. When you're talking about more than 1 million people on the road potentially asked to evacuate, that's a lot of people, that's a lot of traffic. I-75 will take you west, so that's one other road that'll take you up through the west side. So we're only talking about 3 major roads for more than 1 million people. You could expect a lot of traffic, Robin.
More than 1 million people there are under those mandatory evacuation orders.
Here in Miami, mandatory evacuations are underway.
For those looking to evacuate by air, American Airlines says it will wind down operations on Friday afternoon in southern Florida.
CBS 4 News live team coverage as South Florida prepares for Irma. We begin with CBS 4's Ted Scouten live in Marathon. Ted.
Tourist evacuations here in the Keys begin tomorrow at 7 a.m. That is going to be followed at 7 p.m. by resident evacuations.
Mandatory evacuations are already in effect for the Florida Keys.
Highways are jam-packed this morning across the state of Florida. At least 9 counties are issuing full or partial mandatory evacuations.
It's at about 25,000 people have already evacuated the Keys. Tonight, mandatory evacuation orders in effect. Businesses boarding up. Thousands cramming onto US 1, the only way out.
We're evacuating. 5's a little too scary.
People in South Florida are running out of time to evacuate before Irma makes landfall in Florida.
I'm a student here in Miami. We've been told that we have to evacuate the city.
Especially in areas like the Florida Keys. They are under a mandatory evacuation order.
All 3 hospitals in the Keys are evacuating and will be closed by Friday morning. Key West International Airport will shut down later today.
A mandatory evacuation order is in effect for visitors and the roughly 80,000 people who live here.
Emergency managers are ordering that tourists begin their evacuation at sunrise. For the first time in 51 years, she's evacuating.
I'm not staying for Irma.
1.4 million people live in Florida's mandatory evacuation areas.
Good morning. More than 700,000 people here in Miami-Dade County are under a mandatory evacuation order.
Gridlock has gripped roads from Miami to Orlando as tens of thousands scramble to evacuate. Governor Rick Scott has issued evacuation orders across the state.
In Fort Myers tonight, police have been putting out the word to those who live in mobile homes to make that evacuation order and to let people know now is the time to go.
The police were here and they said it's evacuation over here.
Fort Myers police spent the morning going door to door evacuating people out of Poinsettia.
This evacuation order is extremely serious. If you plan on evacuating, we'll have a list of hurricane-safe shelters on our website.
And coastal areas around the city, including Fort Lauderdale and the Florida Keys, are under mandatory evacuation orders.
Hundreds of thousands of people along Miami's South Beach have been evacuated.
A Category 5 storm forcing mandatory evacuations in the Florida Keys.
We could see an evacuation of more than 1.2 million people. And that evacuation, the window to get out, is narrowing each hour.
A mandatory evacuation order has been issued for visitors to the Florida Keys.
People who live on the island will be evacuated later this week.
Thousands of Pinellas County residents forced to evacuate their homes.
Port Safety Harbor in Oldsmar, the official word is you have 2 days to evacuate. Mandatory evacuations apply to Zone A.
And more evacuations kicking in today. Tens of thousands of people have already evacuated. Mandatory evacuation orders in effect. Mandatory evacuations there starting today. Preparing to start evacuating tourists tomorrow.
Some areas in Palm Beach County are now under mandatory evacuations. People living on the island of Palm Beach will have to evacuate tomorrow.
Palm Beach County has issued a mandatory evacuation.
Many areas across South and Central Florida are already under mandatory evacuation orders.
In Georgia, Governor Nathan Deal is still urging 540,000 people living along the coast to evacuate.
In one of the country's largest evacuations,
that everyone needs to evacuate, whether you're a visitor or you're a resident.
The Category 5 storm forcing mandatory evacuations in the Florida Keys.
See an evacuation of more than 1.2 million people. And that evacuation, the window to get out, is narrowing each hour.
In the Florida Keys this morning, a steady stream of cars heading north. As of 6 a.m., all tourists were told to leave ahead of Hurricane Irma.
It was one-way traffic on the interstates out of Miami today. In their hundreds of thousands, people here are heeding the warnings and leaving town. The administrator of Monroe County, which covers the Florida Keys, couldn't have been clearer with his instruction to residents.
Hurricane Irma, which looks like it's going to be a really bad one, is a storm of enormous destructive power, and I ask everyone in the storm path to heed all instructions, get out of its way. And government officials, I know you're working so hard. You'll never work like this. And I appreciate also your bravery. Property is replaceable, but lives are not. And safety has to come first. Don't worry about it. Just get out of its way.
Is life-threatening? This is not a storm you can sit and wait through.
Residents heeding that advice, though, are sitting and waiting in long lines at gas stations.
And already the US authorities have ordered everyone living in the very vulnerable area of Key
Sunday, her eyes swirling right across the Keys. Packing 130-mile-per-hour winds.
I don't have a radar in front of me, but I don't need one. Hurricane Irma is right over us right now. We are a little more inland, we're a little more have gone from bad to worse. We keep waiting for the winds to die down and they just continue to pick up. It actually looks, and I'm not exaggerating,
Roads were flooded.
This is the situation right now. Around Brickell Bay, the water from the bay has started to go inside the buildings, the lobby of the buildings. But it's really pretty dangerous outside, to be honest with you. Nobody should be out. Nobody.
All of a sudden now, I see something like a tornado, a cloud of tornado from heaven, from above the sky, hit and fumed like a cloud, like a funnel of cloud. And then all of a sudden, it became water flooding, people running to the hills. But now look, I see something like a tornado, a cloud of tornado from heaven, from above the sky, hit that soil, and I see the dust. I do not know whether it is the dust that came up and fumed like a cloud, like a funnel of cloud. So there is a tremendous distress that is coming. A wonder in the United States of America. All of a sudden, out of the ground gushes. I don't know whether the cloud came from above and hit it first. It looks more like a cloud came from above and hit the place where the are. But out of the ground gushes dust, black dust, and a lot of running begins. It is shocking itself. A lot of dust. So the Lord put me already there. The Lord has taken me to the future. Already lived that day. So we begin to run. I begin to run also for my life. There was a big panic. We were running for our lives. And as we were running, as the dust was coming our way from that place where the trees were, was the hill there, the settlement. When the big cloud from above came and hit the soil, a huge black dust and columns and waves of black dust began to float towards us. We began to run away. So there is a tremendous distress that is coming. A wonder in the United States of America.
It is miles of destruction, house after house, block after block, roofs torn off, boats on the road, and RVs mangled in trees. Irma's path of destruction cut through the Florida Keys. Residents in Isla Mirada who didn't evacuate came out to look at the damage.
This was a big part of my life. For 15 years I've lived here, and it's just, you know, in one moment it's gone.
With such widespread damage below, some of the keys are only accessible by air. There's so much debris in the ocean, even reaching this location by boat can be dangerous.
Tonight, the National Guard deploying search and rescue missions into the Keys. Local officials say a humanitarian crisis is looming in the lower islands. Big Pine and Cudjoe Keys among those hardest hit. No water, no food, no phone.
For the residents of the Sea Breeze Trailer Park on Isla Mirada, this was a slice of tropical paradise. Now it lays in ruins, obliterated by one of the most powerful hurricanes to ever bear down on this chain of islands.
And now it's left a sea of destruction.
This is one of our very first looks at some of the damage, and it really does stretch neighborhood to neighborhood, homes in the water, boats in the water.
Tonight, this is the way in to the hardest hit islands in the Keys. Irma's path of destruction, obliterating homes, swamping neighborhoods, and likely taking lives.
And the view from above gives a good look at the extent of the damage right now at this marine
Tonight, very, very mightily, about events about to befall the earth. The Lord, He spoke with me this night, very, very mightily, concerning events that are about to befall the earth, the increased birth pain. In that conversation, the Lord said there are going to be increased floods. There is going to be increased rainfall. I see rain falling. Rainfall is entering people's houses. And the Lord took me in the spirit, and I entered those houses in America, in the United States of America, and rain was falling in the house. Rain fell on me when I was there in the spirit. So much rain came with wind. It was so much rain. I see a lot of police officers trying to evacuate people by force from their beds where they're sleeping, people running for their clothes. I see a woman is hanging a cloth and she's running for her life. People are being woken up to run because the flood, the storms have broken loose. And as the Lord took me in the spirit, in their homes, rain was falling on me, tremendous rain with so much wind. But as people were evacuated, some were trying to go back, forcing their way back, and it was such a tremendous confusion and distress. Then also the other doors, there were a few doors, the other doors were opened by wind. Tremendous gusting of wind was entering their homes. And the babies they were carrying in their hands were lost, because we then started looking for babies that were lost even after the storm passed. But so much flood, the storm brought with it so much flood. And we were looking for babies, their babies. The Lord made me look for their babies in the United States of America. This is the height of distress. We have never seen anything like these floods since the nations were created by Jehovah. The tremendous flood going to people's homes after the big storm. Then the Lord showed me yet rain coming now to flood their homes. That was rain coming from above, from heaven. We don't know. Nobody knows when it will take place. But what we know is that the word will come true, that when we see such historic distress like we see today, like the rain, the flood, He has shown me coming to flood their homes. He took me in the spirit. And when I entered their homes, there was no roof. It rained on us, there was no roof. The Lord took me in the spirit. I was across the continent. He took me in the spirit this night in America in their homes. There was so much rain falling on me with so much gusty wind. Babies disappeared and got lost because of the wind and the storm. Jehovah, He has opened the floodgates of heaven. He is soaking the hills, He is soaking the valleys, He is soaking the nations.
Hurricane Maria has just made landfall in Puerto Rico.
And good morning, everyone. 6:31 on the East Coast. We're coming on the air right now because Hurricane Maria has made landfall on Puerto Rico.
Hurricane Maria slamming into the island, and as you heard, one official saying the island is destroyed. And the satellite image tonight showing Maria's massive size, dwarfing the island, no part of it was spared.
Tonight, Maria's direct hit, devastating Puerto Rico. The first Category 4 storm to strike Puerto Rico in 85 years, slamming ashore around sunrise. Roofs peeled from buildings, debris flying. Structures collapsing. Up to 30 inches of rain in some areas, engulfing whole neighborhoods.
Hurricane Maria's winds made quick work of Puerto Rico's trees and roofs. Torrential rain has flooded streets. Maria made landfall early Wednesday on Puerto Rico's southeast coast as a powerful Category 4. Then spent the day clobbering the rest of the island.
It showed little mercy. Tonight, Maria's destructive path is only starting to become clear. Swaths of Puerto Rico underwater, roads turned to raging rivers, roofs ripped off, trees toppled, cars overturned, power out to virtually the entire island.
Have you ever seen anything like this?
Me? Never. This man says he feared for his life. As the relentless storm slammed into his home this morning as a ferocious Category 4 hurricane. The situation here in San Juan is dire. The winds here have been intensifying and the worst is yet to come. We have sought shelter in a concrete structure, but as you can see, it is a scene of utter chaos.
It is from the sky from which Hurricane Maria came that you can see most clearly the damage she caused here. This is Toa Baja, under 10 feet of water yesterday, less today, which allowed the rescues to begin.
Tell me what the last 24 hours have been like.
Hell. This has just been horrible.
Fox News alert overnight. Hurricane Nate making landfall twice as a Category 1 hurricane.
Making landfall twice on the Gulf Coast overnight as a Category 1 hurricane. This morning, we're starting to get our first look at some of the damage left behind. And one common sight, a lot of flooding from the rain. Now, the storm made its second landfall outside Biloxi, Mississippi. That made Nate the first hurricane to make landfall in Mississippi since Katrina.
The storm made landfall as a Category 1 hurricane with 85-mile-an-hour winds in the mouth of the Mississippi River.
This is a nighttime storm. Nighttime storms kill people.
Mississippi Governor Bryant warned of an 11 to 13-foot storm surge in some areas.
Hurricane Nate then picked up speed through the Gulf of Mexico before making landfall on the southeastern coast of the United States with winds of more than 150 kilometers an hour.
It was pounded by wind and heavy rain when Nate made its second landfall on the Gulf Coast, and now it is dealing with storm surge.
This is the first hurricane to make landfall in Mississippi since Hurricane Katrina in 2005.
The president has signed this emergency declaration, already ordering federal aid.
Nate continued to leave streets and highways flooded in Mississippi and Alabama. Nate made its initial landfall near the mouth of the Mississippi River Saturday evening and a second landfall early Sunday near Biloxi.
This is inside the Golden Nugget Casino, and the storm surge has completely engulfed the first floor here. Just take a look out the window. There's still waves coming in. We're currently in the calm center, we're in the eye. So I need to get back to the safety of our shelter. The water's starting to rise, it's starting to buckle these doors in. There's water coming inside the lobby already. Storm surge is starting to fill inside the lobby. You can see out there.
I can see that he has not told the ocean where to stop. Right now, I am warning the United States. There is a big storm from the Atlantic. Repent, and they shall know that the mouth of the Lord has spoken. Listen to me, Atlantic Ocean. And your waves shall fail to stop until they repent. And it shall be known that Jehovah is God. No more. No food. We lost everything.
Hurricane Irene, a huge storm impacting millions of people along the coast.
Hurricane Irene is moving in for what could be the most powerful hurricane to hit the East Coast in 7 years.
It is chaos along the Jersey Shore.